What's on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorian. It's a brand new video, and today what we're doing is breaking down, reviewing issue 193, the final, sadly, issue in the Walking Dead comics. Now, I'm going to give my opinion on this and review and everything after the breakdown, but let's hop into the breakdown. We're going to have ourselves a bit of a table read. We're not going to read, like, the whole thing, but we're going to, give a very slim breakdown of pretty much everything that happens. So the issue kind of starts with a walker kind of walking in a field, near, like, a farmhouse, I think, which is what we see in the, kind of, like, in the book cover. But then Carl ends up coming by, very old Carl, which I was very excited to see because obviously it's something like that we've never seen before. I think it's 30. I think he's like 34 years old. He comes by, kills the walker, and Sophia comes on and everything because it turns out Carl married Sophia and everything, so she comes out all worried and gives a very interesting dialogue, basically saying we haven't seen any of these in years, which obviously is a huge time jump that happened. And it's kind of funny how that she says like, oh, like we haven't seen any of these in years, but they kind of have a bit of a conversation or anything about how like, oh, none of them, we haven't like seen any of these in years. But then Carl kind of gets like a bit of an idea like, oh wait, this is Herschel's walker from his place, which like everyone, like when I read this at first I was like, what? But then it turns out he goes into town, into I think the Commonwealth town or anything, and finds older Herschel, which he looked, I'll get into the review, but he goes into the town and finds older Herschel, who I guess now is running a show where he like kind of like a circus of like walkers, where people can come see like walkers in it, because I'm assuming, I guess they're rare considering that they're in like a safe zone. Like they're not 100% gone or anything, there's still walkers out in the world, but I guess they're in a very safe zone to the point where they don't see them much anymore. So like Herschel put on his own show. So Carl goes into town and basically sees like Herschel and everything, and basically says, well, he doesn't say anything, he punches Herschel like straight in the fucking face and anything, which I was really surprised of considering that that's Maggie's son. But obviously we go right back to, obviously Herschel's angry and everything when Carl walks away after punching him, and like realizing, and Carl basically tells Herschel about like, oh, it's not good to keep these things around, you're doing something that's really bad. And Herschel like, gets really angry at like Carl and everything, since he murdered his like one of his like show walkers. So back at like, Carl's house out in the middle of like nowhere, him and Sophia are sitting waiting, and then we see Andrea, which is their daughter, which they named after obviously Carl's dead, well, secondary mother, and they're basically sitting waiting for Sheriff Kapoor, which we were supposed to see in the next issue, but like obviously it was canceled and everything. But we see Sheriff Kapoor, they're basically waiting for Sheriff Kapoor and everything to come and take Carl away and everything for punching obviously the her like Maggie's son. But it turns out that Sheriff Kapoor basically comes, knocks on the door and everything, and basically confronts, well, doesn't confront, it's kind of a very nice interaction actually, and basically says Carl is gonna be fined and possibly sentenced in court. So then we kind of flash into a courtroom which I assume is in the Commonwealth. I'm not 100% sure, the locations are very unknown in my opinion. So yeah, he's in a courtroom and everything, basically being judged on whether or not he should, or whether Herschel and everything should win the case of him being fined and everything, and I think him going to jail, or Carl going to jail, which the judge basically is about to like sentence him and everything to like the fine and like the jail time. But then Maggie comes in, she looks really old, and I guess the judge basically says, oh, Madam President, which I was like, what? Maggie's the freaking president? And she's surrounded by like Commonwealth guards and everything, yet again I'm assuming this is the Commonwealth and everything. And obviously Herschel gets excited, he's like, oh, mom and everything, because he's like, oh, she's gonna save me. But no, Maggie talks Carl out of like, getting all this fine stuff. And basically Herschel is basically, both of them are let go. Basically, Herschel can't get any more walker. Carl is dropped of all charges, but he has to go out and get a new walker for Herschel's show, which is, it's kind of weird. Carl's obviously very angry. Herschel's angry that like Carl like charges were dropped and everything, and Carl's obviously very surprised and angry that he has to go and get a new walker, because obviously he doesn't want to be even near those things. So obviously Carl and like Maggie talk outside the courthouse after the court hearing is done and everything. And obviously Carl's like, this shouldn't be happening and everything, like we shouldn't even be messing with walkers anymore because they're very dangerous, they could kill someone, your son is a bit delusional. But they end up leaving on I think good terms. And then Sophia basically confronts her mom and her adoptive mom and everything, and she gets angry at her, and I don't think they leave on such good terms. So basically back at the house of the Grimes, Carl, Sophia, and Andrea, they're like little daughter and everything, they're all talking and everything. Obviously Sophia, I keep getting those names confused. Sophia's quite sad that Carl is going to have to go out and get a walker for, Herschel, the he's a very unlikable character. I keep getting into the review, but she basically is kind of sad and everything that she that her husband and everything has to go out and get a walker and he's at high risk. But we flash towards Herschel inside, I think, yet again the Commonwealth, who is talking to an old man until a little boy comes and gets him. Basically says, something happened before you left town. I want to go and see the walkers. But then we get a flash of the freaking magnificent funniness and basically, just goodness of Carl Grimes, because he ended up going into Herschel's little thing of walkers and slaughtering and killing them all, which Carl Grimes. Then we flash to basically Carl leaving town and everything, because obviously, one, he has to leave because he'll probably be arrested and everything for killing all the walkers, and also he has to go out and get a new walker, but he'll probably have to get a lot more. But while Carl is on the road and everything, going and escaping, or I wouldn't say, I don't even know what it's even really, if he's escaping or if he's going out to actually get a new walker, but he pretty much is on the road and he comes across Lydia, which it's very interesting because I thought they would be married. But he runs onto Lydia on the road and they basically have a bit of a chat and basically go out to find. Okay, pause. Damn me for honestly forgetting to mention this, but before they do anything else, after they meet up, they go to Negan's house to basically drop off food, and they kind of have a conversation outside Negan's house, saying basically oh, we never see him anymore, and but the food's always gone, and he never answers the door, and we never see him anymore. So which is really cool and weird, but it's just amazing that they went to go visit Negan in the first place. It's cool that they actually even had or mentioned him in this issue and a walker, but on the first day they don't find one. They just kind of chat a lot, and then they end up kind of spending the night inside a tent where Lydia basically says, why do you still wear that bandana over there? Because obviously, as you guys know, Lydia basically told Carl in the first place to take it off. He did, but then now he has it back on, and they kind of get into a tent and everything, have some funny dialogue, but then kind of get into a heated argument when she says take it off and everything, but he says he doesn't want to remind his daughter or give his daughter the sense of what the world used to be. He doesn't want to give her the horror, which I perfectly understand. But then the next day, after their little conversation, they leave on kind of good terms. Well, they're still together and everything, but they're on good terms. They arrive at a train station, which just wow, where we find Eugene, and he looks actually kind of old. They basically see Eugene and everything. They're at the train station. Carl and Eugene and Lydia all have kind of a funny dialogue, and it's all cool. But then Carl is confronted by Laura, which is Dwight's kind of, I guess you could say, girlfriend before he was shot by Rick. And obviously Laura and Carl kind of have a dialogue and everything, and obviously Laura's kind of angry at Carl, but they just leave it. Carl basically tells her off and everything, and then Carl and Lydia get on the train and everything to head back to Carl's house, and Lydia and Carl kind of split on good terms and everything. She leaves to go back to her husband, and Carl leaves back to go to his family. Carl gets back to his house and everything, and basically is greeted by his daughter and his very angry wife Sophia, who basically says, why? So obviously she found out that Carl killed all the walkers, or Herschel's walkers, inside the Commonwealth or somewhere. And obviously after a couple minutes of her yelling, the soldiers and Sheriff Kapoor come up to him and basically detain him and everything and take him to wherever. So basically he has a dialogue with one of the Commonwealth soldiers that basically talk to him and praise him about how he was Rick Grimes' son and how he would let him go honestly if he could. And it's really cool dialogue and everything, because the soldiers are very nice. He actually kind of looks like a new soldier, because he seems very fresh. But then Sophia comes to where Carl is being held and everything, and basically talks to him and everything. But then when Carl is brought to the courtroom, guess who's the judge? Guess who's the judge this time? It's fucking Michonne. Michonne is the judge, where we find out her last name, which is Hawthorne, which it's very, dude, it's cool that we finally found our last name, because I don't even think in the show we even know what it is, but obviously now we do, and I think that might change it up in the show, in my opinion. But basically Michonne states Carl his crimes in wherever, but basically Carl kind of, I guess you could say, talks about what his father did, what he did, everything that's happened basically and everything, and how the walkers are dangerous, how they should not be taken as pets or anything, and basically says, all this dialogue. Michonne actually says, oh, that was very dramatic and everything, kind of in a funny, joking way, not as an asshole way and everything, but then basically says, you are set free to go, which I really like. And then Michonne and Carl basically talk in her office, and that is the end of kind of their, whole, dilemma, which they're all left on good terms. But then while Carl is walking through the courthouse, hallway to leave, he's confronted by Herschel, who basically, he kind of gives a bit of a Sebastian type vibe, where he's just like very kind of asshole-ish to him, and basically, I guess, just leaves him on bad terms or anything. And then Carl and Sophia go to visit a I'm sorry, keeping it, it's rude, but a very cool looking statue of Rick Grimes held in the middle of, yet again, wherever. It looks like the Commonwealth. They basically talk over the statue and everything, and it's really cool. Carl looks back on the statue and everything, because obviously it's his father, and it's a huge statue. And then back at their house, they kind of talk and everything, and have, honestly, I'm sorry, but they have such a nice moment and everything, where they're just hugging and everything, and just so happy, and they're like, I love you, Sophia Grimes and everything, I love you, Carl Grimes and everything, all that, until Andrea and everything, their daughter, comes up and asks Carl to read to her, and Carl goes and reads to her, and this is probably, honestly, the best part of the issue. Basically, it goes through, I'll kind of go through every single thing. So Carl starts reading to Andrea in her room, and it goes to a panel of Maggie and her son Herschel with some Commonwealth guards. I think Jesus and Aaron sitting by a boat or anything, which is the thing I forgot to mention in this issue and everything. I think that's Negan up there next to his Lucille grave. We see Mercer and I think his wife and everything walking a dog in the street and everything. We see Lydia and her husband and all that. We see, I think, Yumiko and someone inside the streets feeding birds. We see, not sure who that is 100%. I think that's Eugene. Then we see some people inside the diner, Michonne and her son. Oh, her grandson, actually. We see Sebastian and, his mother. I forgot what her name is. Sebastian's still in his, cell, very old, or at least he looks very old. And then we see two graves next to each other, which reads Andrea Grimes and Rick Grimes. And then Carl kind of says to Andrea, basically saying, you would have really liked, Rick and everything, your grandfather. And then, what's funny is he's like, I know, Dad, you tell me that every time and everything. And then she says, read it again. And then they kind of laugh and everything, and then it ends for them sitting on the chair, and the end. Then there's kind of a very an amazing note and everything, kind of very well worded and everything at the end by Robert Kirkman. Now here's actually a pretty interesting part of this comic and everything, or this issue, is that in the end, because obviously there's set to be many issues after this, many issues and everything. There's set to be at least 194, 195, and 196 after this, but obviously, unfortunately, it was ended before we could even see his issues. But Robert Kirkman acknowledges this, and he puts the covers to these issues in the back. And let's just break them down. 194 is meeting Sheriff Kapoor. 195 is the Swordsman, which looks like Negan's death, it's supposed to be Carl's death. And then we see Andrea and Sophia sing at Carl's grave, which he mentions that in the note thing, that he was gonna have Carl die, or at least I think it was he said it was a gag and everything, to make everyone all whoa and everything. But it's really funny, I think. God bless Robert Kirkman. So let's kind of go through my review. So this issue honestly is probably the best issue ever. And I say that honestly because it is. Let's go through honestly, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go through everything I like about this issue. I love the chemistry between Andrea, Carl and Sophia's daughter. Carl and Sophia. I love how everyone is evolved in this comic is absolutely amazing. Everyone. I love how Carl goes to visit Negan. I love seeing the town and everything. I love seeing every character. I'm gonna really ramble out for this part because I really do want to get down every single thing that I loved. I loved seeing Carl in the court, every court case and everything. I loved seeing old Maggie and everything. I loved seeing how she was president. I loved seeing the arguments between characters like Carl, Lydia, Sophia, and everyone. I loved seeing Carl killing all of Herschel. I love seeing older Herschel. I love seeing Carl killing all of Herschel's thing. I love seeing Carl going away and everything, meeting Lydia on the road. Their kind of interaction. Carl going to see Negan, which I think I mentioned already, but fuck it. I loved seeing their interaction. I love seeing Carl going and riding a train, going to see Eugene into the camp and everything. I loved Carl's arrest and then going into the court, meeting older Michonne. I love Carl getting setting free, meeting going to see his freaking father's memorial and everything. That was absolutely amazing. Then when Carl went to go like see Sophia and everything, or Sophia, and basically like having their moment or anything with like I love you and everything, and then Carl reading to Andrea the story of her father, and basically seeing all those like nice panels of everything, and the big panel of them like two together and everything I loved. And in the end, and I absolutely loved Robert Kirkman's like, you know, kind of like note at the end, the last ever letter hack. And also I loved the, you know, what would have been the future like, you know, issue covers. Those were all amazing. So actually, before this video ends, I honestly want to say thank you, Robert Kirkman, for creating the Walking Dead comics and everything, because I started reading around 186, but I've known about them for a while, and I just started recently collecting them. Now, since I just like have all these like last issues or anything, I'm gonna start backtracking and everything, collecting them all the volumes, condominiums, issues, all that. I'm honestly so grateful for him, because he has created probably my favorite like comic show in just every single thing. Like honestly, The Walking Dead is honestly my life. I love the like everything about it, like the comics, the shows, and everything. Like honestly, thanks to Robert Kirkman, like everyone he mentioned. Like thank you to Charlie Aglid and Rathburn, which I really do apologize that I don't know him too much or anything, but thank you, Robert Kirkman, just everyone he mentioned and everything, and his like note and everything, and thank you for even writing the note, because not many people would go that far, and thank you for creating honestly an awesome series. You know what sucks is like I honestly want to show all my gratitude and everything, but I'm not sure how to, or like there's some things I'll honestly miss in this video, and I honestly might even make a fucking part 2. But thank you honestly so much for making such an awesome comic series, and TV, like creating this like whole universe where everyone could come together and like something, and just like, and I'm really glad for like the next couple years, or like even fucking like 10-40 years I think that I'll have left for the Walking Dead TV shows. And I'm excited for the Walking Dead Typhoon that will be releasing in October, which is a comic based in China, so I'm really excited to see if like where that'll go, and I think if that's a new story that we can attach to. I'm excited for it, but at the same time I'm very scared that I won't be able to get attached to those characters or anyone in that as much as I did in this and everything, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I think going with like an open conscience and an open mind and everything. But like I said, thank you, Robert Kirkman, everyone that he mentioned, everything, everyone that's like worked on the shows, comics, and everything. Thank you, honestly, everyone, all the showrunners, like comic writers, drawers, everything. But yep, that was my final comic. I honestly might go back and everything and just like look at all like the old ones or anything. But thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing comic series. Thank you, Robert Kirkman, everyone. I'm sorry, I keep rambling on, but you know, it's just like amazing and everything. I hope you guys all did enjoy this video and everything. I know I'm going a bit over where I usually go and everything, but yep, I see you guys all later. Peace out, amigos, and stay tuned for some show, you know, reviews, show breakdowns, and everything in the future, like abiding by like the new comic and everything. And I see you guys later. Peace out, amigos, and peace out.